One of the things, though, to really understand why people are struggling with getting their arms around this, and sometimes they're very well placed, very intelligent people, but all of us, I think, are struggling with this idea of how do you even cope with something that's growing exponentially, right? Because that's what this disease is doing right now. It's growing exponentially. So I put this out a number of 2008, so whatever that is, 12 years ago now. This is part of my Crash Course series, and in it, I'm explaining a variety of concepts that build towards an idea. But this is the power of compounding. Let's bring that up right now, and let's play this. So this chapter is to help you understand the power of compounding. If something grows over time, such as population, demand for oil, money supply, really anything that steadily increases in size, and you graph it over time, the graph will look like a hockey stick. If something is increasing over time on a percentage basis, it's growing exponentially. Using an example drawing on the magnificent work of Dr. Albert Bartlett, let me illustrate the power of compounding for you. Suppose I had a magic eyedropper and I placed a single drop of water in the middle of your left hand. The magic part is that this drop of water is going to double in size every minute. At first, nothing seems to be happening. But by the end of a minute, that tiny drop is now the size of 2 tiny drops. After another minute, you now have a little pool of water that is slightly smaller in diameter than a dime sitting in your hand. After 6 minutes, you have enough water to fill a thimble. Now, suppose we take our magic eyedropper to Yankee Stadium, and right at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, we place a magic drop way down there on the pitcher's mound. To make this really interesting, suppose that the park is watertight and that I handcuff you to one of the very highest bleacher seats. My question to you is, how long do you have to escape from the handcuffs? When would the stadium be completely filled with water? Would it be days, weeks, months, years? How long would that take? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. The answer is you have until 12:50 on that same day to figure out how you're going to get out of those handcuffs. In 50 minutes, our modest little drop of water has completely managed to fill Yankee Stadium. Now let me ask you the more important question. At what time of the day would Yankee Stadium still be 93% empty space, and how many of you would realize the seriousness of your predicament? Any guesses? The answer is 12:45. If you were sitting idly in your bleacher seat waiting for help to arrive, by the time the field was covered with less than 5 feet of water, you would only have 5 minutes left to get free. And that right there illustrates one of the key features of compound growth. The one thing I want you to take away from all this is, with exponential functions, the action really only heats up in the last few moments. You sat in your bleacher seat for 45 minutes and nothing much seemed to be happening. And then in 4 minutes, bang, the whole place was full. This example was loosely based on a wonderful paper by Dr. Albert Bartlett that clearly and cleanly describes this process of compounding. Dr. Bartlett said, the greatest shortcoming of the human race is the inability to understand the exponential function. And he's absolutely right. All right, I totally agree with Dr. Albert Bartlett. As a quick aside, he's like the world preeminent person to learn exponential growth from. You can look up his stuff on YouTube. Really, really incredible seminal series there. He's got one lecture that just nails it. And I heard that and I refashioned that into that example that I just used here with the stadium. And quick aside, one time I was in Boulder, Colorado, 2009, I was giving a talk and he was in the audience and I was explaining exponential growth to the person I most revered. It was like having the Dalai Lama sit in the third row and I was talking about spirituality. It was kind of a nerve-wracking moment for me, but also an honor to have him there. And I really want to point out his incredible work. So now that we understand that idea of exponential growth, we are in minute 45 to 48 in this story. Again, Singapore, Hong Kong doing these really incredible jobs, contact tracing really aggressively, testing. And they, of course, are getting a very flat line. This is a linear growth in cases right here. That's what they get to enjoy. Whereas all these countries who didn't test, hey, wash your hands, we're out of face masks, right? All of these countries, you now know what the shape of this is that you're looking at here, right? These are all the same shape. These are all growing exponentially. Now,
The thing about exponential charts and things like this, and I'm not meaning to do a math lecture here, but it's a really important concept, is that this is on a linear chart. So this y-axis goes 50, 100, 150, 200, and so on. Of course, we could put this on an exponential axis over here, or a log chart, and it gives us easier to grasp information. Thanks, Ken Stanfield over here with all these great charts. These are very helpful. All right. Let's look at the ex-China doubling times. This is on a logarithmic chart. So you see here it goes 400, 1K, 2,000, 4,000, 10,000, 20,000, 40,000. So that's a log chart right there. And we start here at one I can see easily. So this is starting at 1,000. I put a little blue triangle right there. And the question is, well, how long before it made it to the 2,000 line? And that was about 5 days here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 days later, outside of China, because I can't trust the China numbers, who knows, right? But outside of China, I think we're starting to get a handle on this. And so the known cases outside of China was 5 days. And again, flaws outside of China too, which includes the idea that the United States and other countries not testing as much as they should have, or we would like them to. How about the next doubling where we go from 2,000 to 4,000? That was just 4 days. And how about the next doubling? Well, that was only a little over 3 days. A little over 3 days, maybe 3.5 days, because it actually crosses. Well, this would be the 8,000 mark. It's hard to see. This is 10, 8,000. Yeah, 3 days. What about the next doubling? Well, that would have gone from 8 to 16,000. That's going to be somewhere right around where I've got that thing marked. That would be 1, 2, 3, 3.5, almost call it 4 days, right? Where's the next one? I don't know, because we're not there yet. I need the March 9th data to show up. But it's probably looks like it's going to be on track for about 4 days, because we would want to be making it to about 36,000, which would be, about there. So at any rate, we are seeing, let's just average this out and call it 4 days, right? We are seeing doubling times right now outside of China of about 4 days. So this is a really critical concept, and this is why we're going to see hospital systems get overwhelmed and overloaded, because this stuff is growing exponentially. It's part of the reason, too, I don't trust the test data, because if you can make 1,000 tests per week and then you can make 2,000, but then you really crank up your manufacturing and testing and you can go to 3,000 tests a week, you're still growing linearly, and this beast of a honey badger virus is going to grow on you exponentially. Very, very hard to keep your testing up with something that's growing exponentially.